So, hi guys, how are you all tonight? It's the 28th of December, I think it is. No, 27th of December. So it's the day after Stephen's Day. I hope everyone is enjoying their Christmas break. It's nearly New Year's, so nearly a new year. So we'll be celebrating down in the west of Ireland for New Year's. So we're all looking forward to that. And it's going to be, I think, an exciting 2016 for us all. So my video tonight is kind of really, it's following on from my wife's video yesterday. So I was watching that, and I thought it might be an idea to let you know what PCOS is like from a husband's perspective. So my wife has suffered for many years with PCOS, or polycystic ovaries, and in one way I'm kind of feel lucky that she has that. And it sounds awful, but that PCOS is something that's her thing, and in a way it's not cancer, it's nothing terminal. It's, in a way, if PCOS is the only thing that she has, then in a way I feel like I'm happy about that. I know it sounds strange, I know it sounds weird, and I should feel that my wife should be completely healthy and completely normal, and not that she isn't normal, but in a way, if PCOS is the only thing that touches our lives, then I feel extremely hopeful and thankful for that, because it can be treated. And PCOS is something that isn't something, it can be treated, it can be overcome. Like I remember 9 years ago, when we got married, and we only found out about PCOS like literally when we come back from our honeymoon. She had the symptoms, we weren't sure what it was. She went to a doctor, she went to a specialist, and we remember very clearly going in and being there, and I remember the day that she sat me down and told me of what she had. And if I'm honest, when she sat me down and told me, it didn't really register, because the way she told me, it sounded like she had the worst. It sounded like she had cancer. And that was what was running through my mind. So in a way, when she told me she had PCOS, I was actually kind of relieved. And I know it sounds wrong, and it's an awful disease for everybody who has it, but to me the worst case scenario is cancer, because I've grown up with family members passing away from cancer, and it's a horrible, terrible disease. And I guess it's not the death sentence that everybody had nowadays, and people do get over cancer, but it still strikes pain and hardship, and it strikes absolute fear into everybody when they hear the C word. So in a way, I was grateful PCOS was all that it was. And from a male perspective, from a man's perspective, yes, all the symptoms are visually there, but I don't see them. I see past what those symptoms are, and I see who that person is, and I love her for who she is. I don't see those symptoms, and what she's so obsessed about, those symptoms, I don't see. And I guess that's just me. I don't know what other men think about, or what other men, it sounds like it shouldn't be, but from my perspective, I don't see the symptoms. So for PCOS sufferer, if your wife or your partner is suffering from PCOS, for her it might be the worst thing in the world, but from a man's perspective, we can look past that. Now, if you can't look past it, then it is something you need to discuss with your wife or your partner, and you need to talk to her about it and see how that it can be done. But there are ways and means of getting around these things. But from my perspective, from my personal perspective, I don't see those symptoms. Now, I suppose the one thing that needs to be, from a male perspective, in terms of a PCOS sufferer, is to be there for that person and tell them how much you love them every day. And, right now, yes, I would love to have children, but what's more important to me is spending my life with the person I've chosen to marry, or to be my partner in my life. And kids, if they come along, fantastic. If they don't, well then, that's the way of it. I know people who have adopted kids, and their adopted kids have actually been better than kids that they've raised themselves, because, they've taken a kid out of a home that has not been suitable for that person and raised them as if they're their own. So bloodlines and all of this kind of thing. And at the end of the day, being a parent is about raising somebody and loving somebody the way they should be loved, or the way they should be treated. It's bringing somebody up and being proud of that person, and being a good parent. And I think that's what's important in being parents. I mean, right now, people are obsessed with having, if you have kids, it's the most amazing thing in the world. But I don't know if I'll experience that. But what I do experience is I do see people with children, and I see the love that they have for their children. And I hope one day that I will experience that. And if I don't, well, that's what's laid out for me. But it's not the end of the world. I'm still living. I still have a heartbeat. I'm still able to get up in the morning. And that's what's important to me, is waking up right beside the person I love. Earlier last year, when Blaheen went for her operation, it was a very scary, very frightening. It was very frightening for her. And so much so that she even wrote me a goodbye letter before her operation, because she was scared that she was going to die. Now, that goodbye letter very much upset me. But even though it wasn't a big operation, it wasn't like a harsh operation, there's still risks associated with operations. And it's something that I couldn't bear to think about, is losing somebody who has been my best friend for literally the last 10 years. So, and I'm hoping will be for the next 60, 70 years. So, at the end of the day, PCOS, from a man's perspective, yes, if you are a woman and you're watching this, and from a man's perspective, if you think, oh, he doesn't care about what I'm thinking, or he's not, he doesn't love me because of what I am, that's not the case. In fact, from a man's perspective, it's the opposite. We do love you. We don't see those symptoms. You must see those symptoms, and you become obsessed with those symptoms, but we don't. We see the person we fell in love with. And that's what's important. Not being overweight, not having hair that you think you see, not feeling not feminine enough. These are important, and we recognise that they are important to you, but from our perspective is having the person that we love beside us and being happy with that person. And that's all I wanted to say, is just from a PCOS surviving husband, it will happen. And, if you suffer from PCOS right now and you're watching this, your husband more than likely sees past it and doesn't even notice the symptoms, but loves you for who you are. And if they don't, well then, that's something that you two will have to speak about. But if your husband loves you, they won't notice the symptoms. And having kids, it is something that we want, but we're happy to wait for that time when we either have kids naturally or adopt or foster. There are lots of options, and nothing is ever the end until it's the end. So as long as you're breathing, everything's possible. That's just my note for tonight. So hope you're enjoying your Christmas break, and I'll talk to you soon.